So the operation, it was a valve replacement, my aortic valve replacement. So I was a donor, a 22-year-old donor, which I was lucky enough to receive that. And I can't really remember the rehab process after that, but I know that I was in hospital for a while, Starship. I just remember that year it was quite tough because I didn't play any sports or nothing like that, so it was hard to deal with after my first heart surgery. So that was a tough year for myself, and watching the boys, my friends playing league touch and stuff like that, I thought I was missing out. So my second surgery was in 2018, Feb. It was after my Blues pre-season, so I survived the whole pre-season, and then I went for my annual checkup I have every year just to see how things are going. So early on that year I went for my checkup thinking, oh, it's just another checkup, should be alright. That was 10 years later from my first surgery, so I was thinking maybe I have 5 more years left until I need my next surgery, but no, it didn't work out that way. So I was told that my heart was leaking again, my valve was leaking again in 2018, and this was just before the season was going to start, and they suggested that I have surgery soon, and I was stubborn. I was like, do you reckon I can play the season and then have surgery? But my heart was already enlarged and it was already leaking, and playing at a high level with impaired heart is probably not a good idea. So I went for that surgery, and I opted for another tissue valve instead of a mechanical one, just so I could play rugby again. And I had a pig's valve, so I got another pig's valve, and that was in Feb. And then with my rehab process, it was 4.5 months later I was playing rugby again. So doctors were quite surprised that I was able to return to the field quite early, but I went through all the right processes. I went through the physios, the doctors, the cardiologists, and even the surgeons. I went through every avenue just to get cleared to play. I don't want to chuck myself out there knowing that everything's not okay. So early on that year, I think it was March, I had a minor heart attack. It was due to my right coronary artery being 85% blocked. It wasn't due to cholesterol or plaque, or it wasn't blocked because of plaque. It was blocked because of tissue. It was from my previous surgery. So tissue was blocking that artery, and it was 85% blocked, and that could have been happening they suggested, since my last surgery. So I was playing on 85% blood flow for 2 years at minor 10 level rugby. I went through angiogram to put a stent in there just to open it up. So they did that, but it was unusual because they only use a stent for plaque, not for tissue. For the tissue. So it was a new procedure for them, and they were doing research papers on it, just seeing if it worked or not. They managed to do it, and it was still blocked, but it was 30% blocked. So that was better than 85. Leading on from there, I was back to rehab again, trying to get back to play rugby for the end of year. And then lockdown came around, and I was training again pre-season for myself, and I started feeling aches and pains around my muscles and my calves, and sometimes I would struggle to walk certain mornings. It wasn't because of like muscle pain or the training I was doing. It was just like normal training that I'm used to. But for some reason I was struggling to walk, and my calves were sore, my body was sore. So I went in for blood tests and different I guess tests to see if the heart's okay or what's happening, or if I had COVID due to that. And I started getting fevers and chills, and I was like, oh, maybe it is COVID. So I went in and they found out it wasn't COVID, it was endocarditis and abscess in the valve as well. So there was a bacteria latched on my heart valve, and that was, as the heart was pumping, it was flicking everywhere into my bloodstream, all over my body. That's why I was getting the aches and pains, because my bloodstream was just full of bacteria. And that was just from, and that could have happened to anyone, but it was because I had a foreign tissue. The open wound or cut that I had, maybe from playing rugby or I don't know, cutting a tree, something like that. Yeah, it just found its way and went straight to the valve and attached itself there. Once they did everything technically right, the surgeons, they were trying to restart my heart, but I was so weak I couldn't restart, and that's why I was in a coma for 6 days. So yeah, that's how major it was, and they kept trying every day, and then finally I was able to, I guess, wake up the following Monday. So it was 6 days I was in the coma for, and I woke up thinking it was still that Tuesday, or it was still just that 4 hours later, I'm awake and everything's done. But I wasn't all there. I was still trying to process like what's happening. I felt so weak, I couldn't move my arms or legs. Waking up, all I could do was move my head. I couldn't talk. The tube was still in there, and I was like, this is different. I was like, what's happening? Everything was still blurry. White lights, waking up, everything's just all white, and I was just like, oh man, this is weird. It's different. I can't do anything. I can't move. Then I heard the doctors, nurses, and also my wife talking to me. She was like, just breathe. Like to certain messages like that. She's like, breathe. And I thought I was breathing, but it was actually the machine breathing for me. So I had to breathe on my own, just so they could take that tube out. So I didn't know what was happening. She was saying breathe, and I was like, I'm sure I'm breathing. I'm sure I'm breathing. So yeah, there was a delay in that with me trying to wake up.